Mike, Phillies get Doc Halladay. Roy Halladay, make sure I say his that Halladay.
You got it, big guy. You got it. You nailed it.
He comes at a price, though. Cliff Lee, I didn't expect when I was hearing these trade rumors, was going to be going out to Seattle. I love the idea of Halladay, Lee, Hamels.
Sure.
It's still pretty darn good with Halladay, Hamels, Blanton, Moyer, Hap in there. Mm-hmm. Sounds like a law firm. Let me ask you this, though, Mike. Are they better off today with Halladay in there than what they were at the end of the season?
I think they're slightly better off. I think if they had kept Cliff Lee, which I think was more doable than Ruben Amaro is letting on, I think if they'd have kept Cliff Lee, then they would be the favorite to win the World Series next year. I mean, to have those two guys at the top of your rotation, that would have made a big difference, and I think that was more doable than they're letting on.
I think Hamels they think Hamels is going to bounce back. If he doesn't bounce back, this is going to be more of a risk here. Now, I think it came down to dollars and cents why Lee had to go. $9 million contract for this year. They didn't want to be paying it out with what they're going to have to be doing with Halladay's contract. Let me ask you this, Mike. If they didn't have Jamie Moyer at $8 million this year, do you think Lee would be staying?
No. Well, I don't know if Lee would be staying. I think a lot of things might have played out differently, but I do think that is a sticking point right now. I understand where you're going with that, and I think you're right. That $8 million a year changes a lot of things. The weird thing about this is the Phillies claim, Dave Montgomery and Ruben Amaro claim that they're losing money, that they lost money last year. That's entirely because of the luxury tax. So if you're at a threshold where you're above the luxury tax, how much are you really helping yourself by the difference between losing Cliff Lee? I mean, I'm not sure that you had to lose. That's my question about this. I'm not sure that they had to lose Cliff Lee. And if you have Lee and Halladay, man, you really have the beginnings of something special.
It's a fantasy baseball team right there.
Yep.
It's a good staff. Let me ask you, the guys that they gave up, Drabek, Michael Taylor, the catcher, I mean, they gave up some really good talent here. Was it too much? I mean, I think that sometimes Ruben Amaro might have been bidding against himself because there wasn't that many teams. Halladay had a no trade clause. He could determine where he was going. Was it too much, and did they get enough back for Cliff Lee?
Well, the prospects that they gave up are closer to being major leaguers without question than the ones they got.
Okay.
Than the ones they got from Seattle. I kind of like the ones they got from Seattle after having read a little bit about them today and gotten a little more familiar with them. But they are still, I would say, 2012 is the very, very earliest that we can even start talking about those guys. I mean, the outfielder was in Class A last year.
All three were in Class A most of last year.
Most of the year. I think you're right about that. So that's sort of a long-term proposition. And you got to remember also that a farm system is not only players for the future, but bargaining chips for now. So that's part of his thinking. But again, I think the thing about this is that Halladay was willing to okay a trade and okay a contract extension that probably was about maybe 50, 60 cents on the dollar. He cost himself $20 million because he wanted to be a Philly. I'm just guessing $20 million, but I mean, he cost himself a lot of money.
Sure.
Because he wanted to be a member of the Philadelphia Phillies. It is a testament to some extent to how far they've come.